Welcome back to our channel, a place where we explore the lives of extraordinary people who rose from nothing and changed the world forever. Today, we follow the journey of a boy who grew up in poverty, who played football with a sock filled with newspapers, who dreamed bigger than the world allowed, and who became Pele, the greatest footballer of all time, a global icon and a symbol of hope for millions. This is not just a sports story. This is a story about courage, humility, and the power of dreams. Let's begin. Part 1. The beginning. 1. The boy from Truas. Pele was born Edson Arantes do Nascimento in 1940 in a poor town called Truas, Three Hearts. His family had almost nothing. His father, Dondinho, was a footballer whose career ended because of injury. His mother worked hard to keep the family fed. They couldn't afford a real football, so Pele made his own. A sock stuffed with rags, tied with string. He played barefoot. He played in the streets. He played everywhere. And even as a child, people noticed something different. He didn't just kick the ball. He danced with it. He understood it. He loved it. His father told him, "Son, football is joy. Play with your heart." Pele never forgot those words. 2. The street team. At age 10, Pele formed his first team, a group of barefoot boys called O Sete de Setembro. They played against older kids, against stronger kids, against teams with real shoes and real balls. But Pele did not care. He dribbled past everyone. He scored from impossible angles. He played with fire, joy, and fearlessness. People began to gather just to watch the skinny boy with magic in his feet. One day, after Pele scored a brilliant goal, an older man watching from the sidelines whispered, "This boy, he will be something special." He was right. Pele's talent was too big for the streets, too big for his small town, too big for Brazil, and soon the world would discover him. Part 2. The rise of a young prodigy. 3. The first real club. At age 13, Pele joined a small youth club in the city of Bauru. The coach, Valdemar de Brito, was a former Brazilian national player. He watched Pele train for the first time and said quietly, "This boy will be the best in the world." People laughed. Pele was tiny, skinny, poor, barefoot. But Valdemar saw something deeper, a spark, a hunger, a natural genius. He trained Pele every day. He taught him discipline, teamwork, and confidence. He pushed him to dream bigger. Pele listened. Pele learned. Pele grew. And soon he was scoring more goals than boys older and stronger than him. The world was beginning to whisper his name. 4. The struggle at home. Even as Pele's talent grew, life at home was still difficult. Money was tight, food was limited, bills were hard to pay. Pele's mother didn't want him to become a footballer. She wanted him to get a real job, something stable, something safe. She said, "Football is not a future. You must help the family." Pele understood her fear. He loved his family deeply. He wanted to help them, but he also felt something powerful inside, a calling, a destiny. His father, Dondinho, placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Let him try. Let him follow his dream." Those words changed everything. 5. The journey to Santos. At age 15, Valdemar de Brito made a bold decision. He took Pele to Santos, one of the biggest football clubs in Brazil. He walked into the club office and told the directors, "This boy will be the greatest footballer in the world." The directors raised their eyebrows. Another poor kid? Another dreamer? But they agreed to let Pele try out. Pele stepped onto the field, heart pounding, legs shaking, and then he played. He dribbled past defenders like they were shadows. He shot with power and precision. He moved with grace, speed, and instinct. When the tryout ended, the coach whispered, Sign him. Immediately. Pele had just taken the first step toward becoming a legend. Part 3. The Making of a National Hero. 6. A Star is Born at Santos. Pele joined Santos's FC at just 15 years old. He was the youngest player on the field, the smallest, the quietest, but also the most gifted. During his first training session, he scored goal after goal. He moved with a rhythm no one had ever seen. He played with joy, creativity, and courage. The older players laughed at first. Then they stopped laughing. Then they stared. One of them whispered, "This kid, he's different." Within months, Pele made his professional debut, and in his very first season, he became the top scorer of the entire league. Brazil had never seen anything like him. 7. The nation takes notice. By age 16, Pele was already a sensation. Every match he played, people filled the stadium just to watch him move. He didn't just score goals. He created art. He dribbled like a dancer. He shot like a cannon. He smiled like a boy who still couldn't believe this was real. Sports journalists wrote, "Pele is the future of Brazilian football." But something even bigger was coming, something that would change his life forever. 8. The call from the national team. In 1957, when Pele was just 16, he received a letter from the Brazilian Football Confederation. He had been selected for the Brazil national team, the youngest player ever. Pele couldn't believe it. He held the letter to his chest. Tears filled his eyes. His father hugged him tightly. His mother, who once feared football, now smiled with pride. Pele played his first match for Brazil that same year, and in that match, he scored. The world had just met the boy, who would soon become the king of football. Part 4. The world meets a 17-year-old genius. 9. The road to the 1958 World Cup. In 1958, Brazil prepared for the World Cup in Sweden. The nation was hungry for victory. They had never won the tournament before. Pele was only 17 years old. He was shy, he was skinny, he was still just a boy. Many people said he was too young, too inexperienced, too fragile for the world stage. But the coaches saw something special, something rare, something magical. They took a chance. Pele boarded the plane, nervous, excited, carrying the dreams of a nation on his young shoulders. 10. The injury and the doubt. When the team arrived in Sweden, disaster struck. Pele injured his knee during training. He could barely walk. Doctors told him he might not play at all. He cried alone in his room. He felt he had failed his country before even stepping onto the field. But his teammates believed in him. His coach believed in him. And Pele believed in himself. Slowly, he recovered. Slowly, he trained again. Slowly, he regained his strength. And when Brazil needed him most, the young boy from Chuascorac stepped onto the field. 11. The goal that announced a king. Pele's first World Cup goal came in the quarterfinal against Wales. He controlled the ball with his chest. He flicked it over the defender. He turned. He shot. The ball flew into the net. The stadium gasped. The world froze. Commentators shouted his name. A 17-year-old boy had just scored one of the most beautiful goals in World Cup history. His teammates lifted him into the air. Brazilian fans cried with joy. Newspapers around the world wrote, "A star is born." But Pele was not finished. He was only beginning. Part 5. The 1958 World Cup. A legend is crowned. 12. The semi-final masterpiece. Brazil reached the 1958 World Cup semi-final against France. A powerful team led by the great Just Fontaine. Pele was still only 17, still skinny, still shy. But when the whistle blew, he played like a man far beyond his age. He scored 3 goals, a stunning hat trick. Each goal was different. One with pure instinct, one with perfect timing, one with breathtaking skill. The world watched in disbelief. Commentators shouted, "The boy is a genius." Brazil won 5-2. And Pele walked off the field not as a child, but as a rising king. 13. The World Cup Final, June 29th, 1958. Brazil versus Sweden. The World Cup Final. The stadium was full. The pressure was enormous. The world was watching. Pele felt his heart pounding. He whispered a prayer. He remembered his father's words, "Play with your heart." And then the match began. Sweden scored first. The crowd roared, but Brazil fought back. They equalized. Then they took the lead. And then Pele created one of the most iconic moments in football history. 14. The goal that made him immortal. Pele controlled the ball with his chest. A defender rushed toward him. Pele flicked the ball over the defender's head. A move so elegant, so unexpected, that the defender froze. Pele let the ball drop and smashed it into the net. The stadium exploded, fans screamed, players hugged him. Even Swedish supporters applauded. A 17-year-old boy had just scored. One of the greatest goals in World Cup history. Later, Pele scored again. Brazil won 5-2 for the first time ever. Brazil became world champions. Pele collapsed on the field, crying tears of joy, surrounded by teammates. The world had a new king, and his name was Pele. Part 6. The Legacy of the King. 15. A global icon. After the 1958 World Cup, Pele became more than a footballer. He became a global symbol of joy, hope, and possibility. Everywhere he went, people shouted his name. Children copied his moves. Fans cried just to see him. He wasn't just a star in Brazil. He was a star in Europe, Africa, Asia, every corner of the world. And he was still only a teenager. But Pele didn't let fame change him. He stayed humble. He stayed grateful. He stayed connected to his roots. He once said, "Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you're doing." And he lived those words every day. 16 3 World Cups. Pele went on to achieve something no one has ever done again. He won 3 World Cups. 1962. He was injured early, but Brazil still won. 1966. He was brutally fouled, but he refused to give up. 1970. He returned stronger than ever, leading Brazil to one of the greatest teams in history. The 1970 World Cup in Mexico was Pele's masterpiece. He scored, he assisted, he created magic. Brazil won the final 4-1. Pele lifted the trophy high above his head, a moment frozen in time. The world didn't just see a champion, they saw a legend. 17. The man behind the legend. Even after retiring, Pele continued to inspire. He became a global ambassador for peace, education, and sports. He visited poor communities. He supported charities. He encouraged young people to dream big. He believed football could change lives. He believed kindness was more important than fame. He believed that greatness meant helping others. People who met him always said the same thing. Pele made you feel seen. He made you feel important. That was his true power. 18. The Legacy of a King. Pele passed away in 2022. But his spirit lives on in every child who kicks a ball. In every dreamer who believes the impossible is possible. He rose from poverty. He faced doubt, injury, pressure, and fear. But he never stopped playing with joy. He never stopped believing in himself. He never stopped inspiring the world. Pele showed us that greatness is not about trophies. It's about heart. It's about love. It's about lifting others higher. He was not just the king of football. He was the king of dreams. And his story reminds us, no matter where you come from, no matter how small you start, you can rise, you can shine, you can change the world. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us on this journey through the lives of history's greatest legends. This is Inspire Your Journey, where stories become inspiration. Until next time, keep believing in your dream.